I knew Sergeant Mattingly was down, and I knew they were trying to get to him. And it appeared to me that they were being executed with this rifle.
That's Brett Hankison inside the courtroom testifying in his own defense today. He's charged in the botched raid at Breonna Taylor's apartment. He didn't shoot Breonna Taylor, but he's been charged with wanton disregard in the way he fired his weapon, and it went into a neighboring apartment that had a young couple with a pregnant woman inside. And he was testifying today in his own defense, and there were a lot of really interesting moments in his testimony. That was one of them, where he was showing emotion, believing that his fellow detectives were being executed while they were executing the search warrant. So he started firing his weapon. He also addressed directly Breonna Taylor while he was on the witness stand. Let's take a listen.
Is there anything, Brett, that you feel like you did wrong on March 13th at 3003 Springfield Drive?
Absolutely not.
Why did you do what you did?
To protect myself, and more importantly, and first, primary function at that time when I returned fire was to protect the fellow detectives that were stuck in that breezeway.
And did you later learn that, you obviously at some point learned that your bullets had gone into an apartment behind Breonna Taylor's apartment?
Correct.
What were your feelings about this entire incident?
Tragedy. It's something that didn't have to happen. And my opinion is that certain actions by... I saw Ms. Napper, Mr. Etherington up here for the first time, and I felt sincere empathy for them. That was something, if my daughter was shot at or bullets came into our house, that would be very concerning, and I apologize to her for that. And Miss Taylor's family, it was just, she didn't need to die that night.
Was not expecting that moment in the courtroom. Let's bring in Court TV crime and justice reporter Joy Lim-Nakrin, who's joining us live tonight from Louisville, Kentucky. Joy, that's his direct examination. How did the cross-examination go?
Yeah, well, on cross-examination, he was pretty consistent in his narrative, even in his statements prior to this trial. One thing that he articulated was just seeing this silhouette that he believed was pointing a gun at fellow officers. He believed it was a threat. That's what he testified today. Let's go ahead and listen to some of that testimony.
What did you see after the door, as you said, swung all the way open? You didn't see Sergeant Mattingly stepping in. What did you see?
I saw darkness, and then I immediately saw a large muzzle flash. I could feel the percussion of a gun, percussion from the discharge of a firearm. And with the illumination of the muzzle flash, I could see I now had a backdrop and a visual of a silhouette of a person in a combat shooting stance here, directed with a gun directed at us directly.
Where were you standing?
Just to the right of this.
I would like you to point with the laser pointer where you were standing when you saw this muzzle flash.
Sure. I was, as Detective Nobles rotated out with the ram, I moved up into this empty void. There was a large void here created by him swinging this ram back and forth, back and forth. So when he did his job on the door and breached it and moved out, I then moved up to here.
So you came out toward the sidewalk then? Is that your testimony?
Yes, ma'am.
What did you do then?
As I made the corner of the building, I had, like I stated before, I had heard the shooting. And then I heard this gunfire intensify to where it would be like a semi-automatic rifle-style sounds. Loud percussion coming out of that breezeway. And like a.
We can look up now at Exhibit 33, please.
And obviously, Vinny, we don't show jurors on camera, but it's the jurors he's actually pointing at when he kind of simulates that gunfire. And if you notice, Barbara Whaley, the lead prosecutor, she kind of promptly turns him back to the exhibit on the screen. And if I had to guess, I'd say it's because the jurors seemed extremely engaged when he was demonstrating that and being very animated during that time.
How about Breonna Taylor's family? Any reaction from them today when their daughter's name came up or when he was demonstrating what was going on?
Yeah, I mean, you know, Breonna Taylor's mom, Tamika Palmer in particular, has been a presence throughout this trial. Today, she looked especially upset and at times really disgusted with the testimony of former Officer Hankison. I could see her shaking her head in disbelief, and I guess disgust really is a good word for it. And, you know, there's been so much scrutiny on her, so much media attention on her. So a group of family and friends sort of surrounded her to create a privacy shield. At one point, as an Associated Press photographer was kind of zooming in on her, one of those supporters threatened to actually break the camera. But, you know, you heard that testimony from former Officer Hankison about Breonna Taylor and how she didn't need to die. Well, shortly after that, the emotions in Tamika Palmer really just seemed to come to a head, and she left court.
Wow. How about tomorrow? What's left?
Yeah, so tomorrow at 9:15, the attorneys will come to the court and they'll meet with the judge and go over jury instructions one last time. The jurors will be back at 9:30 in the morning, and they'll then hear closing arguments. Each side will get about an hour. There's no rebuttal closing for the prosecution in the state of Kentucky, so that last hour or so from each side in closing arguments will be the last that the jury hears from these attorneys before they decide the fate of Brett Hankison.
All right, Joy Lim-Nakrin in Kentucky tonight. Thank you so much. Let's bring back in our think tank, Eklund Mercy, Nima Rahmani, Kirk Nurmi, still with us. Eklund, again, I always see you out of the corner of my eye. I would like to play poke with you because you're easy to read. Tell me your thoughts about the testimony of Brett Hankison.
It's like sad, it's like the audacity. It's so many things wrapped into one. First off, what just bothered me was a former law enforcement. When asked what's most important to protect, he said himself. And of course, the second was his fellow officers, when the answer should have been the community, the citizens, people like Breonna Taylor. So I couldn't even get over that. Then the fact that this officer who has a gun doesn't know the difference between the AR-15 and other weapons is, in the fact that he's there for shooting into another apartment is just appalling. And I can feel Breonna Taylor's mom's, just her disgust with it all and just how tired she is. It's just so upsetting that we're here. And it's not for the people that actually did the murder. It's for somebody who shot in the wrong place. You can't write this stuff down. It's just that ironic. It's just that stupid. I'm sorry.
Kirk Nurmi.
Well, you know, in terms of, I'm going to disagree with Eklund. I thought the testimony came across well just from a trial strategy standpoint. I think earlier on in the trial, we were talking about the bullets and the placards and how could all these bullets be hurled everywhere and all this danger that it caused when we saw the first victim testify early on in the trial. But when we heard from Officer Hankison, or former Detective Hankison, we heard a different side of the story. We really heard a human side of the story. And I would think, and I would disagree with Eklund, I think it makes sense for him to react emotionally and that connection with his fellow officers when they're serving a warrant. We want our officers to be protected. We want our officers to be safe. And in that regard, I think he acquitted himself pretty darn well on the stand, putting his humanity into it to explain why he did what he did.
Nima, we have only about 15 seconds. Go ahead.
Yeah, I respectfully disagree with Eklund and agree with Kirk. I thought he did a great job, and he gave us an explanation that we didn't have before. And jurors love law enforcement, particularly there in Kentucky. Look what happened with Curtis Reeves there in Florida.